Hello, Teacher Fit. My name's Bailey. Welcome to the 5th in our Yin Chakra series. Today we're going to be working through a little bit of Yin poses, some other traditional poses to open up our throat chakra. So our 5th chakra. A lot of times you know that you have some blockages there. If you have a hard time speaking your truth or standing up for yourself or just being honest in general, sometimes we can have an overactive throat chakra in which we are almost too outspoken, or we have a lot to say about everything. A little bit more balance is, encouraged in that way. And sometimes we aren't really familiar with any blockages that we may have there until we do a practice like this, when the emphasis is our throat and just noticing what comes up energetically as we move through these poses. So if you've never done really any energy work like that, it doesn't matter. It's still really great for you to experience these stretches in a physical sense. And there are energetic things happening regardless of you realizing it or not. So I hope you enjoy the practice today. We're going to start seated, coming to a comfortable place on the mat. You can sit back on a block if you'd like. And if you have bolsters, blocks, or blankets, anything around the area that you're in, like couch cushions or pillows or anything like that, books for blocks, all those things work. So seated to start, closing your eyes. Just take a few minutes to get into your breath here. Long, slow inhale. Full exhale. Good. Clearing away anything that needs to go. Breathing into anything that you might like to receive. You can make your exhales as audible as it feels good. Sometimes positioning your lips in a way that you would if you were using a straw. Exhale feels nice. And when you're ready, you can start to seal your lips and just come into your natural breath here. You can breathe in for the count of 3, breathing out for the count of 3, or any kind of controlled breath that feels comfortable for you today. As long as you're in control of it, as long as your breath is not on autopilot, that's what we're looking for. Now on your next breath in or so, start to blink your eyes open softly. Good. And I want you to plant your left hand down onto the mat. Start to take your right hand and bring it on top of your head. And I want you to think of softly encouraging your right ear to move towards your right shoulder. Keeping your chin, if anything, pointed up a little bit rather than down towards your neck. Your chest. And as you softly assist here, very softly encourage that ear to go towards your shoulder, you can start to walk your left hand out a little bit. And notice how that changes the stretch right along your neck. You can also take your left hand, reach it back behind you, kind of reaching for your right hip. Just find this neck stretch here. Beautiful. Release. Come back to center and do the other side. So right hand is grounded. Left hand's going to come towards the top of your head as you encourage that left ear towards your left shoulder. So we're not pulling. It's just this little added weight from our fingers. You can walk your right fingers towards the side a little. Notice how that changes the neck stretch. Breathing in and out. Take another round of breath or so. You can find that bind if you took it on the other side. Notice how this changes it. And then start to unwind, unravel. Your hands can come down to the sides of your body here. You can look up and start to tilt your head back or just softly lean back, right? But our spine is still nice and tall here. So we're not having a back bend. We're just sitting up tall, leaning back, opening up our throat. Your chin does not have to go all the way to the ceiling, right? It can just be this subtle tilt back. Breathing in like that for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, start to drop your chin all the way down towards your chest and let your head hang. You can find a bind if you'd like, bringing your hands back behind your low back, interlacing your fingers, or you can bring them down towards your thighs. but your head's hanging here. Let gravity take you completely. Really good. Start to unravel. Come back up. Good. We're going to move into a tabletop position. So start to stack your shoulders over your wrists. And we're going to move into our thread the needle here. So reaching your right arm up high. Breathe in. Exhale. Thread that whole right arm through, lowering onto the side of your face as you rest your whole head down. Lean back. Notice this twist. As you spiral your heart to the ceiling, what's happening with your neck? Can you lean back? Can you look over that left shoulder? Where your gaze goes, the pose goes. Good. You can stay like this, tiptoe a left leg back, lift it if you want. Any variations you like here. Those are all optional. We're just really focusing on opening up our throat, our neck, getting into those muscles there. Take a couple more rounds of breath. When you're ready, unravel. Reach your right arm back up high, breathe in. Tabletop with your exhale, other side. Left arm reaches, breathe in, look to your thumb, and exhale, swing it through, coming all the way on to that left arm as you ground down with your whole left arm. So you may just land in a certain way, and that's fine, you can stay there. Otherwise, really roll, lean back, so you use your whole right hand to press down into the mat as you lean back. Noticing what happens with that right shoulder, looking over your right shoulder, not at a place of strain, right? But you're just noticing when you kind of tilt back, lean back, look over that shoulder, what happens with your neck. And you can reach your right arm back behind your low back if you choose, or step back your right leg. Any variations that you like here. But breathing into your throat. I know that sounds weird, but think about doing that. Think about it opening, clearing. Sometimes just when we do that, we want to clear our throat, we want to cough, placing the emphasis there, allowing things to rebalance. Unwind, unravel, right arm plants, left arm reaches, inhale, step back down, table. Good, so bringing your heels and your hips towards one another. You're just going to walk your fingertips back as you come all the way up. And then I want you to swivel around. So swivel onto your hips as your feet come out in front of you, bending your knees. So hands are going to be right back behind us. And point your fingertips away from you. Press into your feet and lift your hips. So this is our reverse table. And you may need to walk your hands back or your feet back a little bit. Let your head hang if that's comfortable, or you can bring some support and kind of look more in front of you if it doesn't feel comfortable to let your head drop. But stay like this for a few breaths. Press into your hands. Arms are straight. Think about lifting your hips to the ceiling. Head is soft. Neck is soft, throat is open. Press into your feet, squeeze your glutes and quads. 2 more rounds of breath. Really good. Slowly lower. Hips come down, softly tuck your chin into your chest. Sit all the way upright. And you can let your chin come all the way towards your chest to counter. And then coming back to normal here. Good. So moving back into that tabletop position. We're going to take our half frog, a little bit more restorative here. So sending your right foot back behind you, squeeze your knee into your chest, and then as you start to let your knee come out to the side, walk your left foot out behind you. So we're going to come all the way down flat onto the mat, and we have our right leg at a 90-degree angle. All kinds of things you can do with your props here. If you don't like your leg kind of hovering in space, if that's happening, use a block. If you want to find a pillow, you can lay across that. Anything goes here. So it's up to you how you want to position yourself for the next 2 or so minutes. Will be in this shape. So get yourself cozy. Let your hip open and settle into the shape. If you have a full frog in your practice, and you want to take that for the full duration, because we're going to move to the other side, you can do that. You can stay in a full frog for about 5 minutes, or you can take, a couple minutes on each leg if you'd rather. Forehead can melt down to the mat if that feels good. And start to release any control that you have. Good. About 1 more minute left here. If there's a tendency to fidget, to move at all, use your breath to iron out those wiggles, allowing some stillness. And while we move through these next poses, I want you to transition really soft and slow. So there's no rush to get to the other side. There's no rush to get to the next pose. Try to take this soft energy that you're cultivating and bring it with you into the next shape. So really mindfully, really slowly, start to press yourself back into that tabletop position, bringing your right knee back in. And when you're ready, you can move to the other side, send your left leg back behind you. You might curl it in, crunch, see how that feels. And then swing your left leg out to the side as you start to lower all the way down onto the mat. 90-degree angle with that left leg. So your knee is in line with your hip and your heel is right underneath your knee. You can stay upright or lower down. Use your blocks as you need. And if you're unsure how to use your block for you, it really doesn't matter. Just use them in a way that feels like it's going to assist you. There's no rules for our blocks as long as it's providing some comfort for you. That's what we're looking for. And sometimes it's not comfort, right? Sometimes you can use your blocks to create more intensity. So it's just your intention of practice and what you need today. And we'll be in this shape for 2 or so more minutes. Give yourself time to just be a witness to what's happening on this side. Not judging, but just noticing, allowing. Every day it's different. Even if you're a seasoned yogi, especially if you're a seasoned yogi, you know that it's always different. Right? When you think you've got something, it changes. The time of day, the weather, our mood, the way we slept. All of those things are ever-changing factors that are going to impact our practice. So being gentle with yourself as you move through any class. You can come back to your breath here if you lost it, taking those controlled breaths in and out of your nose. Noticing the pause between your inhales and your exhales, how that feels when you're not breathing, not holding your breath, but you're not breathing in or out either. About 1 more minute on this side. And if you've been in your full frog the entire time, really give yourself a good amount of time to come out of the pose. So full frog, we would have had both of our legs out to the side here. Coming back up slowly if you were in that shape, bringing your knees together. And if you're still in your half frog, use the next round of your breath to come back up, finding that table. Hips over your knees, move slow. And just take a breath here. If you feel the inclination to take any hip circles, squeezing your heel to your glute, you can do that on either side if it feels good. Eventually coming all the way back down onto the mat. So there's a couple different options here. You can take Cobra, Sphinx, or Seal. I'm going to encourage everybody to start with Cobra. So to bring your hands a little bit underneath your shoulders. Roll your shoulders back, press into your feet, press into your hands, and find your Cobra. So this is more of an active pose. You can stay like this. Notice if your elbows are out to the side, squeeze them in. Chest comes through, shoulders roll back. Option to stay like this, place emphasis on your throat. Breathe in there, or you can softly, slightly look up and breathe in and out. You might take open mouth exhales. Good, placing that emphasis on your throats. And a couple more breaths here. This is where you can choose if you want to come into something more restorative. forearms come down, find your Sphinx. Still take that same position where you're tilting your head back. And if you want seal pose, your arms are way out in front of you. Palms press into the mat. Shoulders roll back. Again, look straight forward or softly walk your gaze up the wall in front of you. You might look towards the ceiling as you softly tilt your head back. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to at all. You can close your eyes. Breathing in and out, you may take open mouth exhales, audible exhales, thinking of clearing anything away that needs to go, anything in your voice, in your truth that hasn't settled. If you've been having to speak your truth a lot lately, maybe you need some healing there. So maybe you actually round and tuck your chin towards your chest a little and let your head hang, kind of honoring all of the work that you've had to do in your throat chakra lately. It can be really intense. Beautiful. And take about 1 more minute here. You can start to walk your hands closer towards your body and come more upright if you have that back bend in your practice. Or you can still be in your Sphinx pose on your forearms and move into any of those other variations as you need. It's okay to come out. It's okay to find a new shape. And let's take about 1 more round of breath here. And slowly finding your child's pose. So if you usually take your child's pose with your knees out, we just did some back bends. I want you to keep your knees together. So maybe your knees touch. If not, they're pressing in towards one another as you melt your hips back. Okay, so letting your spine round over your legs here is going to really release those back bends. Use your bolsters, use your blocks, pillows, whatever you've got around. Let this be comfortable for you. Okay, so it doesn't matter if there's a lot of intensity involved in this pose. You don't need it. Just stay here, breathe. If you need to place a block or a bolster in between your hips and heels, sometimes that's nice. It helps take away a little bit of that tension. You can put a bolster back there as well. But we're going to be in this child's pose for about 3 to 5 minutes. So I really want you to find a place that you can let go, a place that you can soften. You can keep your forehead on the mat, or if you're on a bolster, you can turn your head to one side. I'll tell you when we're about halfway so you can switch your neck stretch here. Just let yourself fall into some stillness, some silence. If you've got your elbows lifted off the mat and you have a very active pose, I want you to soften everything. Really puddle into this pose here. You don't need any tension. You don't need to do any work in order for this pose to do its job. You just need to find it and stay. Noticing if your autopilot breath came back on. You need to breathe back in for the count of 3. Back out for the count of 3. And if you want to switch the side of your face that's resting on your bolster or pillow, you can do that, or maybe even your mat. Even it out. Anything that you need to release today, letting it come out with every exhale. Anything that you need to receive today, breathe it in, welcome it in, sending away any stale, stuck energy with your exhale. Take about 5 more breaths here on this side. So 5 more rounds of your inhales and exhales. Whatever that is for you. You may choose for the next bit of your child's pose to find another type of stretch. If you want to release the bolster, if you had it, you can start to bring your hands together to touch. And then bring your hands overhead, thumbs towards the back of your neck, as you bring your elbows down towards the mat. Getting into your shoulders a little bit, into the back of your neck. Not just letting your throat breathe, letting the back of your throat breathe. Beautiful. Taking your time here. And start to lift your forehead up off the mat. And start to walk your fingertips back towards your body. So this is where, if you have a wall, I want you to use a wall. If you have a couch next to you, if you have anything that you can lift your legs up, do that. Otherwise, if you're just not by anything that allows that, you can still do this pose just with your legs up in the middle of your mat. If you have a wall that you're nearby, you can bring any pillows or bolsters right along, and you can start to position your hips on top of them as you start to crawl yourself back, lifting your legs up. So you have a little bit of an inversion, as well as having your hips lifted here. And just settle in. So if you're on your mat, you can use blocks. You can keep your hips grounded. It's up to you. Sending your feet up high to the ceiling, closing your eyes. So you can bring your palms face down or face up, whatever's more comfortable for you. And just start to close your eyes, come into your breath. You can point or flex your toes, whatever feels better. And if you're not on a block, that's fine too. Legs at the wall is super, super great for your circulation. It's great for your nervous system. But coming back to a place of balance with your breath. So yes, there is a little element of effort involved here. Straightening out and lifting your feet up. There's a change in circulation. There's also an element of strength. Let that be okay. Allow the discomfort. It's a mental practice just as much as a physical one. Notice using your core, how that helps you. Use your breath. I want you to find 5 to 7 more breaths, nice and slow. Staying in this pose for 5 more rounds. So breathing in slowly, breathing out slowly. And do that for 3 or 4 more times. Holding yourself accountable to your breath. Taking your time. And you can keep your eyes closed if you have them closed. Whenever you're ready, after your 5th round of breath here, we're going to pull our knees into our chest. So if you're at the wall, you can scooch back a little bit. And you don't have to come back onto your mat. You can stay right where you are, but just scooch back so you can hug your knees in to your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. You can wrap your arms around your legs. You might reach for opposite elbows. And we're going to find our supine twist. So you can stay by the wall if you're there, or you can stay on your mat. Let your knees fall over to the right. And let your arms open up. They can come to a T, or you can goalpost your arms, those cactus arms. And if it's comfortable for you, I want you to look to the left. So if your knees are to the right, you look to the left, whatever's opposite, if that's comfortable. Again, placing emphasis on your throat, on your breath, on releasing what you need to release and breathing into what you need to receive. And just falling into the pose here. Using bolsters or blocks if you need. You can bring one along the length of your spine so you can kind of lean back into it. You can also bring a bolster in between your legs and between your knees so it's a little bit more comfortable. And take about 5 to 7 breaths here. Noticing this twist, but also noticing this opening right across your chest. From one shoulder to the other, right through your heart. It's almost like a back bend. Breathing in and breathing out. And taking your time here, letting this pose arrive in every part of your body. If you're holding tension or clenching anywhere, soften. And let full ease take over here. Through your fingertips, through your toes, through the top of your head. And take one last breath. Use your exhale to bring your knees through center and go to the other side. So drop your knees to the left, gaze to the right. Noticing this equilibrium, this sense of balance that's returning to your spine, that might be returning to your breath or your energy. Opening your throat in the other direction as you look to the right. Breathing into what you'd like to receive and exhaling anything that needs to go. Let it out. Falling deeper into the pose, letting go of effort with every exhale. Drawing in more ease and sinking further into the pose. Letting gravity take you. Gravity is where you find the intensity of the pose here. That's it. As you give yourself 5 rounds of breath, let every one be an invitation to find more softness. Giving yourself those long breaths in, taking in as much air as you can, clearing out as much air as you can, letting every drop out as you exhale. Take about 3 or 4 more breaths like that. Starting to draw your knees into your chest on your next inhale. Give yourself a little squeeze. Press your low back into the mat. And then softly start to rock and roll yourself upright to a comfortable seat. With your eyes closed, sit up nice and tall. Hands can come to your thighs, shoulders roll back and down your spine. Take a breath in here. And the breath out. Let's end with one last clearing, cleansing breath. Inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, let it all out. Start to blink your eyes open softly. Palms come to touch. Bow forward. Namaste. Great practice, everyone. See you for the next 2 in our Yin series shortly. Have a great one.